What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'm going to take you guys through my team selection for Game Week 1. So yes, you guys heard that right. I don't really know where the time has gone. Time has absolutely flown by, but you know what they say? Time flies when you're having fun, and making these drafts and this preseason content has been a load of fun for me, so if you guys have also enjoyed it. But in this video, you guys heard right, probably the biggest video of the preseason, the team selection for Game Week 1. I'm going to be going through my team player by player, detailing why I actually went for these options, but also give you guys some alternatives if you don't exactly think my player is worth it. Now, as I always say, the most up-to-date team is definitely going to come from the deadline stream. So yes, you'll be doing a deadline stream 1 hour before the Game Week 1 deadline on Friday. So make sure that you guys don't miss it. And to ensure that you don't miss it, make sure you turn those bell notifications on, or my Twitter notifications, as I always do announce when I do go live. But if you guys are interested in the deadline stream, make sure you stay up to date with my videos this week, as I'll be giving you guys an update to the team in each of them. But post your drafts down below. Let me see your guys' team selections. I want to see kind of a mini team selection in the comments down below. What's your starting 11? Who's your captain? All that good stuff heading into Game Week 1. But without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. This video has been sponsored by FantasyFootballFix.com, introducing the Elite XI Team Reveal, the most advanced team reveal to date, with push notifications allowing you to track every move these managers make throughout the season. With a combined 77 top 10k finishes, you don't want to miss out on this one. Compare your team to these elite managers. Unlock stats and data to see how these managers maintain their teams. Find out more about the Elite XI Team Reveal over at FantasyFootballFix.com. Now before we get onto the actual draft, I want to give a shout out to the members, the new members that have actually opted in through the preseason. Also you OG members, you guys know who you are. Probably have a shout out in my outro. But the reason I wanted to actually talk about this is to give some clarification, as I have had a couple of questions over on my Twitter DMs and also on Discord. So the first thing I want to say is that I don't have a Patreon like other FPL content creators. So to support the channel, the membership is kind of the only thing that you can do, and that's why I want to talk about it. So in terms of the membership on YouTube, it's simply the join. If you guys already subscribed to the channel, you can then join my channel and pay a monthly fee to get more content. Now we do have 3 tiers. The first one's going to be the membership level, the second one's going to be the supporter, and the final level is going to be the legend. So those are going to be ascending in terms of price, and you get different kind of features for those price points. Now the first thing I want to talk about, and probably the most important thing, is that the videos and the live streams are going to stay exactly the same. So you guys don't have to worry. You guys won't get extra content if you become a member. Yes, I'll be detailing some of the added bonuses, but in terms of the videos, the team selections, the ultimate guides, all the videos in between, those will stay the same, as well as the deadline stream, so don't worry about that. But the biggest feature that we will be changing is going to be my team reveals during the week. So you guys know that I usually post my updates over my Twitter page at DayvyFPL. I usually tell you guys if I make a transfer, that sort of thing. So I'll be moving that from Twitter to my Discord Legends chat. So to get those transfers throughout the week, you guys have to become a legend. And the reason I'm doing this is kind of a few reasons. The first one is that there's been a big debate about kind of copying teams. This will actually reduce that, as only a select few will be able to look at my transfers through the week, even though all of you will actually see my team selection before the deadline. The second reason is that it does offer me a little bit of a different form of monetization. And as you guys know, I'm not a full-time content creator, and therefore getting these other avenues of monetization is quite nice, to be honest. But as I said, the content is going to stay exactly the same, the team selections, all that good stuff. If I have made a transfer, I'll confirm it in those videos. If I make transfers in the deadline stream, which I usually do, those will stay exactly the same. I'm not going to kind of mess you guys around if you're not a member. But if you do become one, we'll have some discussions about my own team, your guys' teams one-on-one, and that's where the Discord comes into account. So you guys know throughout this preseason, I've launched my own Discord channel. I've promoted it enough. You guys are probably sick of me talking about it. But if you guys do become a member, I have supporters, text and voice chats, then also legends, voice and text chats only. So the reason I've added these is that it allows you guys to ask me questions on a more personal basis, kind of on a one-on-one basis, where I will always reply to your questions. And the reason for that is that there are a lot fewer questions in those text and voice chats than my more general chats. So your chance of getting a reply is basically guaranteed, but like with the previous talking point, if you guys still do ask questions in the free chats, I'll try to get to as many of them as possible. But as I said, I'm not a full-time content creator, so my time is sometimes limited, so therefore I probably will prioritize the supporters and the legends chats. Now the last section is going to be about badges, and the reason I've linked this to streams is that it's a very added bonus of having a badge, and that's going to be in the deadline streams. So if you guys do become a member from supporter to legend, you guys will get a nice shiny star player badge next to your name, and this signifies how long you've actually been a member for. Now the reason I've linked this actually to the streams is that if you guys do comment on YouTube, it'll appear in my YouTube comments and on my live streams with that star player badge next to your name. So let's for example take one account and another account that both ask the same questions, but yours has a nice shiny red badge for becoming a member. I'll probably notice your question a lot more in chat, and therefore that increases your chance of getting your question answered. But as with the previous talking points, I'm not going to kind of mess you around if you don't become a member. I still reply to so many text chats in my live streams. If you guys are an OG of the channel, you'll probably vouch for me on that front. And let's face it, I'm not like the other big YouTubers. I don't have enough members to actually only reply to the members' comments. So if you guys do want to support my channel, as I mentioned, no Patreon, so the membership on YouTube is the only thing that you guys can support the channel on. If you guys want to donate on the live streams, 100%, that's also fine. I just wanted to show you guys the added benefits if you guys do want to get more out of this channel and also support me at the end of the day. But to kind of conclude, this is a nice to have, it's not an essential. The content is still going to stay the same. The team selections, the ultimate guides, the deadline streams, all that good stuff. So don't worry if you don't become a member, but if you want to, these are the added benefits of that. But now that we've got all the admin out the way, I know that you guys hate admin, you've probably skipped to this point. But if you have skipped, I would appreciate you guys kind of going back, looking at the talking points I just mentioned, as it will help me out on this channel. But in terms of my Game Week 1 team selection, the first thing is there's a little bit of a disclaimer. This team might actually change. We might have some injury news throughout the week. We might have some transfer news that might switch some players out. All that good stuff. Press conferences coming up probably on Tuesday and Friday as well. So make sure that you guys are following that to get the most out of those managers' comments. But as I mentioned, the deadline stream is probably the best place to get the most up-to-date team as possible. So hopefully I do see you guys there. But going on to the draft, on the bottom right, you guys can see that 0.0 has been left in the bank. I've seen a little bit of an increase in popularity with people actually having some in the bank, but I just think my starting 11 looks too good to have extra money on the bank. Now the first thing that you guys will notice is that I have gone for a 4-4-2 formation. I don't think this will change throughout this week. I can actually see myself going for kind of a big at the back 5, big midfield, 5 in the midfield, that sort of thing. I think the 4-4-2 is pretty set in my opinion, but there might be 1 or 2 changes throughout this week. Comment down below what your guys' formation is, as well as your team selection heading into Game Week 1's deadline. Starting off with the bench, as we always do. I know that's probably the most boring part of any draft, but this season it might actually be an important one because there are some very cheap, good options. Now, in terms of my 4.0 goalkeeper, I've not decided on one at the moment, and that's a little bit risky going to Game Week 1, but honestly, none of them play, so it might just be kind of going for the worst team in the Prem as I won't triple up on them, and going for a 4.0 goalkeeper might block that. But in terms of the next two, Andres Pereira and Neco Williams, these are pretty set in my team. Both come in super cheap, the minimum that you guys can afford a midfielder and a defender at, and they both do play for their respective teams. Now, Andres Pereira at 4.5 has been playing at that cam slot for Fulham, and with the recent injury to Harry Wilson that we'll get more clarity on throughout the days, Andres Pereira might be locked in at that cam slot. So that's why for me, at 4.5, 100%, there are some other options, a De Silva, that sort of thing, but I do like Andreas Pereira, and I do think there's potential from a Fulham point of view. Now, Neco Williams versus Patterson has been an interesting debate recently. Both these two assets should be fine for the start of the season, but I do prefer Neco Williams long term, and maybe Nottingham Forest can surprise 1 or 2 of us. Now, Neco's a super attacking fullback. Coming from Liverpool, he's kind of got that Trent and Robbo in him, and that's why at 4.0, while he might not have too many clean sheets, maybe he'll get 1 or 2 attacking returns. And then finally, Archer from Aston Villa is our 4.5 of choice. Now, in terms of the 4.5s, Greenwood is super popular, but I would rather not go for him because if he doesn't start, casual managers might ship him out, and therefore he'll drop in price. Whereas Archer, I think he has about 5% ownership, so should be relatively low. I think most people will generally hold on to him. But the bench is going to be the cheapest bench that you guys can afford. Obviously, the 4.0 defender allows that. And to be honest, I think the bench is pretty set unless there is a 4.5 forward that suddenly starts for the respective team. But now going on to our starting 11, and our goalkeeper has gone back to the beginning. We've gone back to the Brentford goalie, Raya, at 4.5. So in terms of the 4.5s, it's quite hard to predict who's going to be the standout goalkeeper. We have Sanchez, who probably will be quite strong, but losing Basuma, how's that going to affect that kind of defense? We then have Meslier from Leeds, a popular selection in terms of save points, but are they going to keep too many clean sheets under the new manager? Who kind of knows? But right now, I do really favor Brentford's Raya, and he has been starting in preseason, including the game yesterday, which should be the last one for the preseason. So Raya for me up until the first wildcard will be my goalkeeper of choice. I think that Brentford have a solid defense, and he also is quite favorable for save points and also bonus points. But you guys will notice that I've actually downgraded Edison to Raya from my updated draft video, but as we go through the defense, the reason for that will become a little bit more clear. Now, starting off with a player that has not left any of my drafts is going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold at 7.5 million. Expensive, but I think he is going to be worth it, as we saw against Man City, picking up an attacking return. Like Salah for me, if you're going to go no Trent, you have to be super maverick, and generally my team is not going to be that, so I think I'm going to be going for the English fullback. Accompanying the English fullback is going to be the Scottish fullback, and that's going to be Robertson at 7.0 million. Now, you guys know how I've preached about kind of the double up in defense over the double up in attack for Liverpool. I just prefer Robertson to Diaz. Spoiler alert there, Diaz is not going to be in my team. But as you guys saw against Man City, also picking up an attacking return, and I just really love these two fullbacks. Now, the fixtures for Liverpool kind of guarantee that triple up for me. The fixtures look great, the players look great, and you guys know how Liverpool have been in FPL, absolute FPL gold. A player that's also been FPL gold is going to be Cancelo from Man City, a player that's also been in most of my teams. I think 7.0 is a respectable price for him, as I do consider him to start basically every single game under Pep Guardiola. Like Liverpool, Man City have great fixtures coming up, and I think Cancelo offers that attacking threat, and with Haaland up front, just imagine how many crosses he's going to get in. But there's been some debate about Cancelo. I think a lot of managers are actually going off him because of that more expensive price tag. But I do think he's worth it because he is nailed, and any nailed Man City attacker or defender is going to be worth their weight in gold. But now as we kind of switched up the defense here, you guys know I mentioned the Edison downgrade. It's because we've gone for Kyle Walker in defense, and the current reason for this is that Man City have not gone out and signed a replacement fullback for Zinchenko. So this is definitely going to be one of those kind of soft spots where I might actually have to swap Kyle Walker out because there's no chance Man City don't sign someone in that fullback position. But for now, I think he should be fine for this opening couple game weeks because no ways Pep signs one with a week to go and fits them in from game week 1. So at 5.0 million, that's too hard to ignore, even though there might be some rotation risk there. I know that Nathan Ake might play at that right back slot, but I just think with the current injury to Laporte, Man City look quite sensitive at that centre back position. So double up on Liverpool, double up on Man City, both great fixtures, both great teams. I think this could offer some returns. I just hope that every player here starts. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this move. Do you think it's a little bit too risky going for the double up in Man City if I want double up in attack? And do you rate Kyle Walker to start the majority of games for this opening part of the season? Now going on to midfield department, and we're going to go for a template pick like Trent. It's going to be Mo Salah at 13.0 million. A player that's not left any of my drafts, except for that No Salah draft video that I created for you guys, I think a week or two ago. So Mo Salah is a standout captain for the majority of game weeks in the opening couple. I just think the Egyptian is looking red hot, had a fully rested preseason. If you guys watched the Man City game, looked to be on fire, and that's why I do think I'm going to be going for him, especially as my game week 1 captain. So like most people, he will be my captain for game week 1. I think he's the most sensible option. Fulham away, even though it is an away game, it is against a newly promoted side, and I think Mo Salah is going to absolutely feast in that fixture. But now we go into a position that I think might be a little more differential than most people. I've actually gone for Mason Mount at 8.0 million. So the reason I was able to upgrade kind of a Bruno G from Newcastle to a Mason Mount is that I downgraded Edison to Raya, then I downgraded Reece James to Walker. So I wanted at least some Chelsea coverage, and that's probably the biggest thing about the defense. That's a little bit of a weakness. You don't have any of that Reece James coverage, and you guys know how explosive he is, so that might be one of the things that I switch around. But Mason Mount, the thing I wanted at 8.0 million is that I wanted a consistent option, a player that's going to feature in every single game, and that's going to be Mason Mount. Now throughout preseason, he's looked pretty strong. I mean, Mason Mount always looks pretty good. I think that he's going to be integral to that Tuchel attack, and as he kind of gets his experience up, still a young lad, I think he's going to have a great season upcoming, and that's why he's going to start off in my FPL team. Now, other options at 8.0 million, I could go for a Mahrez or Foden, but if you guys look at my defense, I then have a triple up already, and then I won't be able to have Erling Haaland from the start or bring him in at a later stage. Unless, obviously, I do take a hit. Now, Saka was another alternative that I could go for, but I don't want to kind of go for too many Arsenal attackers. So that's why Mason Mount as a consistent option is going to be in my team. Now, from a defensive point of view, I think the Chelsea fixtures aren't that strong, but from an attacking point of view, some great fixtures to start off with. And I think that Mason Mount is a fixture-proof player, so even those hard fixtures could get a return. Now, even though Mason Mount was going to be differential, our next pick won't be. It's going to be pretty template with Pedro Neto at 5.5 million. Now, Pedro Neto's had a great preseason. Wolves look pretty strong. Are they going to replicate the form of last season? Hopefully not. But with the injury to Raul Jimenez, I'm a little bit worried about that Wolves attack. But the one thing about the injury to the Mexican is that Pedro Neto will be nailed in that starting lineup. And that's why I do think at 5.5 million, it's worth the risk because the Wolves fixtures are so strong. But you guys know I've spoken about Pedro Neto enough. You're probably tired of hearing about him. You probably have him in your team. So let's get on to the next one. So the next player we spoke about bringing Saka in, and the reason I don't want to kind of go for him is because I already have Martinelli in my midfield department. But yes, I know that Arsenal have been scoring a plethora of goals throughout this preseason, but I don't want to go for that in terms of my FPL team. But I want some coverage from an attacking point of view, and that's why Martinelli is going to be in my selection. So interesting enough, Martinelli's been starting most of the preseason games, had a very good last season, and that's why Arteta is going to have to do something to not select him, and at 6.0 million, that's enough for me. Now, like most of these teams, the Arsenal fixtures to start off with are pretty strong, and with a good preseason behind them under Arteta, they're going to start off game week 1 pretty hot. Now, the only downside is that Martinelli blanks on Friday. Obviously, they're the first game. That's going to be pretty sad for my own team, but I think majority of players are actually going for an Arsenal attacker. And I'll finally go into our forward department. The first option is going to be pretty template yet again. I've actually gone for Gabriel Jesus, but you guys probably predicted that. So yes, I am actually going for the double up in the Arsenal attack, but I'm going for Jesus at 8.0 and Martinelli at 6, and they're pretty cheap at those price points. Now, if you guys thought that any player had a great preseason, Gabriel Jesus is going to be the star player for that, as he scored so many goals, got too many assists, and I think he's just too hard to ignore for game week 1. So if you guys are going without him, it's almost like going with no Salah, the number 1 owned player in the game at the current moment. And I actually do like the flexibility of going with Gabriel Jesus over Saka. But let me know in the comments down below, are any of you actually going without Gabriel Jesus? Why are you actually going for him? And how are you going to correct that if he manages to bang in game week 1? But like Martinelli, if Jesus also blanks in the first fixture of game week 1, that's going to be pretty sad for my team. Now going on to our last player in our starting 11, and you've probably predicted it, it's going to be Harry Kane from Spurs. So 11.5 million to go with Haaland or Kane, it's up to you guys, but after watching the kind of Community Shield, I think that Kane looks slightly sharper. Kane is also more nailed in that lineup for Spurs. I think even if he's injured, he'll start for them, whereas Erling Haaland might have some minutes managed, and that's why I want to give Harry Kane at least the start of the season, just to set the situation with Haaland and also Man City. So overall, guys, this is going to be my Game Week 1 team selection. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Try to be nice, don't roast me too hard, but generally I think this team looks pretty strong. Unless maybe Man City sign a new fullback, he looks up to speed, and therefore Kyle Walker might not be nailed for this opening couple games. I know that even if Kyle Walker isn't nailed, we still have Andreas Pereira or Neco Williams, but I'm not really confident in them two getting points, and that's how I'd like this entire starting 11 to get minutes. But as I said, post your drafts down below, let me know what you guys are kind of dealing with, and also maybe I'll offer you 1 or 2 suggestions. Now to kind of wrap up the video, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an interesting talking point here. Now I'm not going to be going over another draft. I'm actually going to be showing you guys the first draft. If you guys did watch my first draft video, this is going to be the exact same team, and I actually wanted to see how different it is to my current team selection. So starting off with the bench is pretty predictable here. I predicted it with the 4.0 defender, that's going to be Neco Williams. The 4.5 forward, not too many options there, but the 4.5 midfielder, we've actually been blessed with a couple of great options. So in terms of the bench prediction, I got that bang on the money, and also the 4-4-2 formation. I don't know why, I just love a 4-4-2. Don't really know if it's coming from my FIFA background, but generally this offers a lot of flexibility going into Game Week 1. So starting off with our goalkeeper, our first draft contained Raya, and as you guys can see, that's going to be our exact team selection. So 1 out of 1 plays at the current moment. I just think that Raya ended the last season pretty strong, one of the best points per game in terms of goalkeepers, and with that Brentford run coming up, I think he's going to be absolute gold. Yes, there might be some rotation worries there, but I do think Raya should be nailed in that starting 11 as he has started the last preseason game. Now moving on to our back four, it's going to be Trent, Cancelo, Chilwell, and then Ait-Nouri. So you guys will notice that we have actually switched this around. We've added Robertson, so we've kind of upgraded Chilwell, and we've also upgraded Ait-Nouri to Kyle Walker. But this just shows from an initial reaction how good I thought those Wolves fixtures were. Chilwell's actually an interesting one for me here. I just kind of picked him as I thought from an explosive nature. Seems a little bit more attacking than Reece James, but after some fitness concerns in preseason, I definitely think Reece James will be the more highly owned player. But this will be interesting to see when Chilwell comes back and is fully fit. Is he going to start most games, or will Alonso offer him some rotation? We're then going to move into our midfield department of Salah, Saka, Pedro Neto, and Foden. So yes, I've been a Pedro Neto stan before the prices were even released for these options. So I'm almost going to claim that I started that bandwagon. Only joking there, I'm not that full of myself. I think he's a great asset, and if you guys predicted him to be this cheap, I think most of you probably would have selected him. In terms of Salah, no brainer there. In terms of Saka, this was probably done before Gabriel Jesus was kind of confirmed, and that's why after the great season that Saka had at 8.0 million, absolute steal. But now that Jesus is in our picture, I think that he's the better asset. And finally, for Foden at 8.0, I was favoring that Man City kind of opening run. I think I do have some question marks over that kind of front three. Is it going to be Grealish? Is it going to be Foden? Will it be Mahrez? Will it be Alvarez? Who kind of knows? Even with Erling Haaland at that forward position, he might even get his minutes managed. But as you guys can see, I did favor these kind of teams from a fixture point of view. I liked Liverpool, I liked Arsenal, I liked Wolves, and also I liked Man City. Then finally going to our forward line, the love for Man City continued with Erling Haaland. I just predicted that he would get most of the preseason minutes, look pretty strong going into Game Week 1, and therefore be too hard to ignore. Now yes, his ownership is pretty strong right now, but I do think that'll dip as more teams kind of get selected for Game Week 1. I think Harry Kane will kind of normalize with Haaland, and we might see a split ownership. But no, I'm not saying Haaland's a bad option for my own team, probably a wait and see, but I definitely think that I'll own him throughout this FPL season. And then finally, we went for Ivan Toney at 7.0. I think a great asset. Brentford has some great fixtures. In terms of value for million from last season, looks absolute gold. I just do worry about that Brentford attack without Eriksen, but the fixtures look pretty strong from the Brentford point of view. So in terms of the team, we've got some players here. We've got a Trent, a Cancelo. We also have a Salah and a Neto, that sort of thing. We have Haaland, but Haaland Kane was a 50-50. So the majority of the team looks pretty strong, and at least the team structure looks pretty consistent. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys actually did this for your first draft. I always do say the first draft is the best draft, but I think in this case, our updated draft looks slightly better. But this is basically wrap up the video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. If you guys became a member from this video, there might be 1 or 2 of you. Thank you for that. Otherwise, shout out to all our OG members and all you guys are actually just supporting the channel with a like and a comment. But I'll see you guys for more content coming this preseason, so make sure you turn that bell notification on. Otherwise, I'll see you in the deadline stream coming up on Friday. But I'm your son, it's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.